Over the years, there have been plenty of superhero games to go around. Some were great, and others were downright unplayable. When Spider-Man was released on the PS4 in 2018, it was one of the most popular games. I'm not sure why I was so late to the party, but here I am in 2020 checking it out for the first time. Manhattan is filled with scary villains and evil henchmen trying to overthrow the city, and it's up to Peter Parker to save the day. I'm not a superhero guy myself. I don't know too much about the Spider-Man universe, but some of my friends who follow the comic books religiously have reported to me that the story and characters do the series justice. I personally found it cool to play as the Spider-Man who's already well established in this universe. This isn't a story where Peter Parker discovers his powers and has to learn how to deal with being Spider-Man. He's already at the peak of his powers, and every villain wants a piece of him. A good story is always great to hear, but I'm here to report on the gameplay. Is Spider-Man another great addition to the superhero genre, or is it a bust that deserves to get squashed like a bug? Let's check it out. New York City is gorgeous in this game. It's a very authentic representation, and the landmarks truly stand out from Grand Central to the Empire State Building. I had a ball swinging around buildings. The web slinging mechanics just work. There is a fast travel in this game, but the sheer joy I had zipping along the city prevented me from ever using fast travel. There's a lot going on in this world, and I didn't want to miss on any kind of random robbery on my way to my next mission. I'm a crime stopper. It's what I do. The combat is very reminiscent to the Batman Arkham series, which is my favorite superhero series. It's a combat system that's very reliant on counterattacks. Whenever you see the squiggly lines over Spidey, hit the counter button and do some crazy flips and tricks to outwit your opposition and beat them to a pulp. Since you're Spider-Man, you can also shoot your web at an enemy and fling yourself towards him to attack, or grapple onto an environmental hazard and lasso it around, destroying everyone in your path. Spider-Man has plenty of other attacks up his sleeve, like the utilization of web gadgets. You can shoot electricity webs to leave your opponent vulnerable for a cheap attack, you can set web traps that go off on your opponent, or you can just straight up bomb the bad guys, blowing them to smithereens. When you enter a group of enemies, there are plenty of times you can sneak your way into them, Batman style. I enjoyed remaining undetected while taking them out one by one. The great part about the combat sections is that you can approach them however you want. There were times I was in the mood to go in webs blazing, and then there were other times where I wanted to be a sneaky guy like Solid Snake or Christian Bale. However I was feeling was how I played, and that level of freedom matters in a video game. Sick of fighting? Well, there are plenty of collectibles to get your sticky little hands on. Spider-Man left a lot of backpacks around, so you can pick those up to gain tokens for upgrades. You can also take pictures of landmarks to get landmark tokens. I can give you other repetitive examples on how to upgrade, but you get the point. These loose RPG elements are the types of things that are not essential to beating the game, but it allows the game to reward you for your curiosity. Find some stuff, upgrade your moveset, get a fancy new suit which gives you new special attacks, or don't. Spider-Man is definitely not demanding. I'm too old to 100% complete a game. I found myself going from mission to mission and occasionally finding collectibles if there was something specific I wanted to upgrade, but don't let this make you think there's not a lot this game has to offer. If you are a completionist, this is a great city to explore. I just can't promise you that you'll feel challenged. The side missions also offer extra game to uncover. I felt that the main story was much more enjoyable though. The side missions seemed a bit too repetitive, so if you're not the kind of gamer who usually completes everything, go with the main story. It's there that you'll meet all the villains and do all the crazier Spidey stuff. All the times I played as Spider-Man, I had fun. I like swinging, fighting, and exploring. It's all good. But then there were times I had to play as his friend Miles or his girlfriend Mary Jane. Despite Rick James' love for Mary Jane, I found these sections to be very unfulfilling. They involved sneaking around enemies with very crappy AI, or those annoying puzzle sections reminiscent of the Uncharted series where you have to look for clues and then utilize that knowledge on the puzzle. In one of these sections, I had to move around this statue in the right position to match a picture. To me, this was a very artificial way of progression, and it halted the pace of what's supposed to be an action-packed adventure. It's important for me to mention how much I love puzzles in video games. I'm a Zelda guy. Some of my favorite video game moments involve me solving a challenging puzzle. The issue is, these puzzles and sneak sections were not engaging at all, but simply a filler in what's already a relatively big game. The good news was that there were not too many times I had to deal with all the secondary characters. The game is called Spider-Man after all. There were other types of puzzles that I actually enjoyed, like the circuit projects where you have to rearrange circuit boards to make sure the right electric current flows through. Or the spectrograph puzzles where you have to match up empty lines while only utilizing specific preset lines. I had to use my noggin for these guys, and this was a great example of how to take a break from the action while simultaneously providing a fun challenge. I'm all for sitting back and smelling the roses during an action-packed game, as long as it's a good time, of course. Is this the best superhero game ever? Not quite. I would still give the Batman games the edge. That is because Batman had a lot more variety in its gameplay, and the slow puzzle sections were a lot more enjoyable where I truly felt I had to use my noggin. If you never played the Batman series and enjoyed Spider-Man, I cannot recommend it enough, but this review is for Spidey. Spider-Man is a very easy game to learn, and it's just plain fun. Despite my minor complaints, I beat this game in less than a week, which I don't do as often anymore in my advanced age. The gameplay was that good. Every time I was a couple hours away from my PS4, Spider-Man used this sticky web to pull me right back in.